time to get the pollution out of your houses. Cut the cable. Get the pornography out of your houses. Get the pollution out of your houses. Folks, your very lives, your very souls depend upon it, because destruction will come. Destruction will come. The Lord still judges people, and He still judges nations. Yes, I'm not talking about the end of the world. The Lord is fixing to judge America, and He will bring the sword against America. Yes, He will, and the sword of the country, the sword that comes against the country are their enemies. He could bring Russia, He could bring China, He could bring North Korea, He could bring our enemies from the south. Yes, the sword will come, and He could bring pestilence. Yes, He could bring diseases like Ebola, and He could bring famine. Folks, the Lord has all of these things at His disposal, and He will humble this country. But the people of this country, you could cry out to God now, and He could deliver you from what's coming. The Bible says that God can give grace to the humble, but He will resist the proud. God is against the proud, but He could, if you humble yourselves, if you cry out for mercy, the Lord could give mercy to you and your families. He could pour out His grace upon you and your families. But unfortunately, a lot of the people in the churches today, they're very proud. They're very puffed up, just like in the times of Jesus. Jesus said, "These people draw near to me with their mouths, and they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." So today, Keller Methodist, where are your hearts? Where are your hearts? Do you have one foot in the world or both feet in the kingdom of heaven? Because this is a fence you cannot straddle. You cannot have one foot in the world and one foot in the kingdom. You cannot be a lover of this world and a lover of God. Oh, the Lord is looking for people that will seek Him with all of their hearts, all of their mind, and all of their strength. But unfortunately, this country has taught us to be lovers of idolatry, lovers of sports, lovers of entertainments, lovers of pleasure. And folks, it should not be. The Bible warns about these things. Paul talked about it. He said in the last days, perilous times would come. Men would be lovers of themselves, and we see this in the churches. Many of the people, they love looking at themselves on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, they're lovers of themselves, lovers of money, proud, boasters. Oh, and it says that they would be lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. And folks, we see this in the churches. I'm here to tell you, John Wesley would roll over in his grave if he could. Charles Wesley would roll over in their grave. They'd be standing out here with me crying out. And most of you are not going to be able to hear this. Most of you don't want to hear the truth. Most of you don't want to be too warned because you're too proud. But there are some humble here. Oh, I know there's humble people at Keller Methodist. And the Lord wants to warn you today. This is a message. If there's humble people at this church, He wants to warn you. It's time to draw near to Him with all of your hearts. It's time to forsake the world, because destruction is coming. And there will be no escape from it unless He delivers you. Unless the Lord Himself delivers you from what's coming, there will be no escape. Yes. And the Bible says that judgment begins first at the house of God. That's 1 Peter chapter 4. That's 1 Peter chapter 4. Peter. Do you think Peter knew what he was talking about when he said judgment begins first at the house of God? But they don't like to talk about Peter today in the churches, talking about judgment. My answer is draw near to God with all of your heart, because destruction's coming, sir. And God is going to resist the proud. But He can give grace to the humble if you humble yourself. If you cry out, if you forsake the world, He could have mercy on you, because destruction is coming to this nation. And there will be no hope. There will be no hope. Donald Trump can't save you. Hillary Clinton can't save you. The only one that can save you is the Lord Himself. He is the only one that can save you and your family, sir. So you must cry out to Him. You must cry out to Him. It's time to lament and mourn and weep for the sins of this nation, the shed blood of the innocent. Oh, the innocent blood that's crying out to God. It's time to mourn and weep for these sins of this nation, because destruction is coming, sir. That's my answer. He sent us out here to warn you. He sent us here to warn you, sir. I'm preaching right now, but I'll be happy to talk to you in a minute. Sir, I'm preaching right now. I'll be happy to talk to you one-on-one in a minute. But folks, it says in 1 Peter chapter 4, it says judgment begins first at the house of God. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. The churches don't want to be warned. No, but that's what Peter said, that judgment begins first at the house of God. It says, if the righteous are scarcely saved, what shall become of the ungodly? And unfortunately, there are even many ungodly in the churches. Oh, they love watching their pollution at home. They turn on their cables and the pollution flows in. And folks, it should not be. The Lord's not winking at these things. It's time to forsake the world. It's time to actually start doing what the Bible said. It's time to do what John Wesley said. It's time to draw near to God with all of your hearts. Because your pastors can't save you from what's coming. No, your church building can't save you. The only one that can save you is the Lord himself. And the Bible says that he can give grace to the humble. The Lord gives grace to the humble. He can pour out his grace to you. But he will resist you if you're proud. He's against you if you're proud. So it's time to humble yourselves. It's time to cry out to God for mercy. Because sudden destruction will come to this nation. And folks, he will bring our enemies here. He will bring the sword against America. And this nation will be destroyed. It doesn't give me joy to tell you this, but there is hope. There is hope for you and your families. The Lord could deliver you. The Lord can deliver you. But it requires humility. It requires obedience. And you must forsake the world. You must draw near to God with all of your heart. It's time to start living like Jesus said, to love God with all of your heart, all of your mind, and all of your strength. It's time to forsake the world, to forsake the entertainment, forsake the football, forsake the basketball, the baseball, forsake it, forsake the movies, the entertainment, folks. It's time to start living like your life depends upon it, because it does. It does. And judgment is coming. And judgments are not pretty, folks. Judgments are not pretty.
And what denomination are
Judgments are not pretty. And we're here to warn you that it's coming. And we love you, folks. That's why we're here. We want you to be warned. We want you to draw near to God with all of your hearts. Oh, folks, I hope there are some of you that have ears to hear, because we are here to warn you today. The Lord has sent us here to warn you that judgment is coming. Destruction is coming to this nation for the shed blood of the innocent. The Lord is getting ready to avenge the blood of the innocent. Yes, and the Lord still judges people. He still judges nations. I'm not talking about the end of the world. No, the Lord still judges nations. And he's fixing to judge America. And the Bible says that judgment begins first at the house of God. 1 Peter chapter 4, judgment begins first at the house of God. But most of the people in the house of God don't fear God. They don't fear God like Jesus said to. Oh, Jesus said, my friends, he was talking to his friends, and he says, my friends, I will tell you who you should fear. Fear the one that can not only kill the body, but cast the soul into fire. That's who Jesus said to fear. But most of the churches don't even fear God. The Bible says that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It says that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, and by the fear of God men depart from iniquity. And folks, I'm here to declare to you today that the Bible is true, and where there is no fear of God, there is much iniquity. Yes, there is much iniquity. And we're here to warn the people of God. For those that don't understand why we're here to warn you that judgment will begin here. The churches will be God's ground zero. The churches of America will be God's ground zero. Wake up, church. Wake up. This will be ground zero. The Lord is going to start here. That is why we're here, because he's going to start in the church. And the Bible says, Jesus said, these people draw near to me with their mouths, and they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Folks, there are many in the churches where their hearts are far from the Lord. And he is going to resist the proud, the puffed up. The days are the same when Jesus was alive, with the time of the Pharisees. Oh, they resisted Jesus. They resisted Peter. And the Lord today has sent us here to warn you. It's time to humble yourselves. It's time to cry out for mercy. And folks, if you don't, if you puff yourself up in pride, the Lord is going to resist you. And he is going to pour out his anger upon you as he judges this nation. He's fixing to judge America. And this is where it will begin. It will begin in the churches.